Hello everybody, I hope everyone's really well. In this video we're going to look at 2 meals a day, considerations around that. The idea of 2 meals a day can be very appealing to many people, and I do teach stuff like this in my guide and with my one-to-one clients, and it can be very appealing because it brings us back to what is generally ingrained in most of us who have done any sort of dieting or fat loss campaigns throughout our life. We really think that in order to lose weight we need to cut calories, which is true, but there's also many other considerations, unfortunately, which makes losing fat a bit more complicated and harder. So I don't want to get too much into that right now, but now I want to discuss 2 meals a day and some considerations around that. Because when you're not educated on stuff like this and you jump into having just 2 meals a day, especially if they're not well balanced or calculated meals, then not only are you potentially setting yourself up for failure, you're setting yourself up for other issues too. There are side effects to doing stuff like this if it's not well planned. What I see happen with many of my clients is if someone decides they want to do 2 meals a day, usually it's because they're trying to cut calories and lose body fat. For one or two people, it's been a rare instance where I've seen that they wanted to do 2 meals a day because their life was too busy and they just didn't have time to do cooking for 3 meals or 4 meals a day, which is perfectly fine. And I think that probably is a more valid reason for doing 2 meals a day. Other reasons might be gastric issues. 2 meals a day can be beneficial there. But when people do 2 meals a day and they don't have a good plan, I feel like they just throw together their 2 meals and hope for the best. At least I'm eating is that kind of idea. Now, my clients are very well versed in different aspects in nutrition, in dense nutrition, in what we call fairy dust, modbiotics, the importance of bitter, tart, sour foods, all that. But still, people can lose track of using these concepts and tools when their lives are very busy and hectic. But when you are doing 2 meals a day, what I've seen with my clients is, one, if it's not planned out properly, if the meals are not substantial enough, if they're not big enough, then you're going to be setting yourself up for either binge eating later in the day, or intense cravings later in the day, or binge eating towards the end of the week. So a lot of people might be able to stay on track with something like this for the first 3 or 4 days of the week, but come Thursday, Friday, then they're just binging out of control, and it's because they had overly deprived their body so much during the week. Then if we're not, for being realistic, people have very stressful, busy lives nowadays. We have a lot going on. We have a lot of demands and drains on our willpower battery. If your meals are not big enough, those 2 meals, they're not big enough, they're not substantial enough, there is a higher likelihood that you're going to have intense cravings in the evening. And because your willpower, most of our willpower is gone in the evenings, chances you're going to give in to those cravings. But also when we don't eat enough, there is a higher propensity for binge eating, and that's on many different levels, caused by many different things. So firstly, we want to make sure that if we're doing 2 meals a day, they have to be two nutritious, very dense nutritious meals with a substantial amount of carbs, preferably at your lunch meal. Now, most people, when they think of 2 meals a day, they think of, well, I'm just going to do lunch and dinner because that's easier for me. I don't have to stress about breakfast in the morning, and I can just run out to work or school or the gym or whatever it is. And most people think that they're not hungry in the morning, which is true, because when we sleep, our leptin hormone and our satiety hormones, they get reset. So we're more sensitive to satiety when we wake up in the morning. We're just not hungry. No, some people are. Some people are ravenous, and that can be insulin resistance and other things. But most people are not too hungry in the morning, so they are immediately thinking, well, I'm just going to do lunch and dinner. When in fact, the research shows us that if fat loss is your thing, which it's most people's thing, then you would be better off just doing breakfast and lunch for your two big meals. And you want to have them well balanced. They want to have a lot of nutrition in them. You want to have a lot of carbs at lunchtime to fuel your day, to fuel your brain. If those carbs start to drop too low, there's a ripple effect that's going to happen. And cravings and binge eating is one of them, and the loss of willpower is also one, because willpower very much comes from your brain, and if your brain gets depleted on energy, the chances of you having that willpower later on the day are going to be lower. But you need to make sure these meals are very nutritious, because if they're not nutritious, you also, not in the space of a day, but overdoing 2 meals a day for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you start to see these side effects. These things happen. You might feel great. You might even be losing weight consistently, but maybe you're starting to get constipated. Maybe you're losing a lot of hair. Maybe you're feeling excessively cold. Maybe you're starting to have sleep issues. Irritability is a big sign that there's a problem there, especially with mineral deficiencies. Anxiety and depression are big signs that there are nutrient and especially mineral deficiencies. So your meals need to be very balanced, not just I'm just going to throw this together and have my 2 meals a day and hope for the best. Many people want fat loss, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you're doing 2 meals a day and you're seeing consistent fat loss every week, that is great. But you cannot lose focus of health, because you need health for the rest of your life. And eventually that fat loss is going to stop, and it will. And then you're left with all these health issues. And it's not too hard to make sure these meals are very well balanced. It really is not too hard, especially if you're filling your plate with really nutritious foods, like bang for your buck foods. I don't mean lettuce and lean chicken breast. I mean like really dense nutrition foods. Like you should always have dark chocolate in your first meal. Always. There's so many reasons, from the polyphenols and the anti-cancer effects, from getting your potassium dose. Low potassium is associated with anxiety, so is magnesium. You get magnesium, you get a nice dose of magnesium from dark chocolate. Copper, iron issues, iron deficiencies are usually associated with copper issues, so dark chocolate's a way to get some copper in. Like there's so many reasons. Dark chocolate has been associated with helping reduce inflammation in the gut, from ulcerative colitis to diverticulosis. So start your day with dark chocolate. That's a really easy way to get a lot of nutrition into your food, into your meals. Berries, very easy, very low in calories, but very high in nutrition for many reasons. Like they are a modbiotic food, they are a sirtuin food, they are packed with polyphenols, they also have vitamin C, so there's lots and lots of benefits there. You can then get like sweet potato, probably my favorite carbohydrate for fat loss. If you're not including apples, I mean they're both starches but in different category per se. Sweet potatoes, very nutritious. White potatoes, if you don't like sweet potatoes, white potatoes are actually very nutritious, a great source of potassium, and they also have protein, which people don't know about. Carrots and beets have been shown to help with fat loss. So if you don't want to go with the more starchier vegetables, carrots have a lot of research around them for helping with detoxification, binding to heavy metals, helping circulation, anti-cancer benefits, fat loss benefits, and the same with beets. Beets, there's a lot of research around beets for not just the nitric oxide aspect in the gym and when you're working out, but beets have a high affinity for binding to heavy metals and supporting detoxification in your body. So these are really easy things you can do with lots of nutrition, because you're getting the vitamin C depending on the food. If you're going with salmon, you're getting vitamin D, vitamin A, vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, I'm jumping from thing to thing, and you get your protein, you get your EPA, you get your DHA. So it's not hard to fill your plate with really dense nutrition food that's also low in calorie because you potentially are looking for fat loss. If you don't do this, like I mentioned with the hair loss, the slower metabolism, the feeling cold, the irritability, constipation, anxiety, insomnia, all of this stuff is a sign that you have messed up your hormones and you have slowed down your thyroid. So you're not getting thyroid conversion, your body's gone into a state of triage and your hair is falling out because of that. Your brain's not getting all the nutrients that it needs to function optimally. Your gut's probably compromised. So thyroid is a big thing that I see in people when they do 2 meals a day. And there's more symptoms than what I've just mentioned. But for sure, like I had a client, she was doing 2 meals a day for weeks and she was feeling great and she loved it because it fit her lifestyle. She's very, very busy, which is great. It fit her lifestyle. But then we started talking. I was like, how come you didn't tell me your hair was falling out and you're feeling really cold? This is a problem. So something as easy as just making sure you have the dark chocolate and a couple of Brazil nuts in there and some sweet potato can do wonders for the thyroid, can really like do a 360, even an organic Granny Smith apple. Like it doesn't have to be Jamie Oliver made your meals. It can be simple, but you have to understand like how can I optimize this nutrition, make sure all my angles are covered. So thyroid is a big thing. And then also the binge eating aspect. It can either be that day or it can be towards the end of the week because you've basically starved your body of what it needs. And survival biology will always win over willpower. It always will. So if you deprive your body too much of certain nutrients, regardless if the scales is moving or not, your body's going to push back at some stage and you're not going to have a fighting chance. I mean, you'd want to have like severe discipline, like just to fight biology. It'll always win. So making sure that you're having your sea salt or your electrolytes, because when we start to reduce our calories, we're going to lose a lot of these minerals, especially if it's an added stressor onto an already stressful lifestyle too. You want to be thinking, how can I get dense nutrition into my diet? What foods are like simple but packed with nutrition? Dark chocolate's one. Smoothies, soups, stews, even chilies, like really simple things that you could throw in a crock pot and walk away and you come back. Soups or stews made with bone broth. I love to do something like that because then you're getting like extra nutrition. Even just bone broth by itself can be amazing for nutrition, very low in calories, but really supporting your body and saying, here, I'm giving you what you need so you can work optimally. Please don't let my hair fall out, kind of thing. So those are easy ways. Juices can be, it depends on the ingredients you use. Some people are going to need to add in like a really good hypoallergenic protein powder, one that's very bioavailable. I of course prefer whey protein isolates. There are other options, but I'm looking at bioavailability and how the body's going to utilize it. So that's what I like. And some people will. Most people are not hitting, most people that I work with don't hit their protein targets each day. So if you're reducing your meals to 2 meals a day, there's less of a chance you're hitting those protein targets. So if you have a protein shake, you know, it takes 30 seconds to drink a protein shake. It does not take up a lot of room in your stomach. It gets digested very fast. It's very bio. So you could be sipping on that while you're making your lunch or whatever meal it is. It does not take, it's not going to fill you. You will still have room for your meal there. Or even if you are doing 2 meals a day and you wanted something in between, like a small snack, a protein shake can be very helpful for that. I've done posts. I did 2 podcast episodes in the summer, very in depth, on the importance of protein and good protein in regards to healing the gut, maintaining good metabolism, maintaining brain health, keeping stomach acid high. The one thing that really stands out to me a lot when it comes to protein is mental health, cognitive performance, brain resiliency, mental resiliency. I don't think enough people recognize, and immunity. Protein is huge, like amino acids are huge for immunity. So if you don't want to go down the protein powder route, you can do a collagen. Most people tolerate collagen fine. There's a rare few people that don't like the taste of collagen. That's a genetic thing, kind of like the cilantro thing. So you could always do collagen regardless if you're doing a protein shake or not. I think everybody should be doing 2 to 3 scoops or tablespoons of collagen a day, if for nothing else, for your immune system. And there's the anti-aging aspect, and yes, collagen does help with your skin and your hair and anti-aging. I see so many professionals say no, it doesn't do anything. Yes, it does. It does. It 100,000,000% does. So but collagen's an easy way to boost your protein, and you can throw collagen into your soup or your smoothie or into your stew, or add it to bone broth, or add it to your tea, coffee. Like, you can put collagen anywhere. It's not going to change the flavor, and it's going to increase your protein and amino acid profile, which is very important. And then most people, if I'm realistic, it is most people, not many people, it's most people. When I consider people's lives and lifestyles nowadays, and nutritional preferences, their taste buds, their sleep habits, just everything, even where they're getting their food quality, soil quality nowadays, it's just not the same. So whether or not you like it, most people do need to consider supplements. Now, a very easy way to supplement your diet is with tea. Tea is medicine. I've always said tea is medicine. Tea can provide you an abundance of benefits, from supporting detoxification, gallbladder health, stomach health, mental health, cognitive performance. We think of rosemary tea, even sage can help there. Tea can provide polyphenols. Green tea with EGCG can help with inflammation. Like, tea is medicine. So that's a very easy way to supplement your diet. And then if you have nutritional deficiencies, or maybe you're not choosing the best foods, or maybe it's in the middle of winter and we're lacking in vitamin D, there are some nutrients that people just need to supplement, and most people need to supplement in a good omega-3 fatty acid, especially if you're doing fat loss or 2 meals a day, because most people, when they do something like this, especially if it's for fat loss, they're going to 2 things: naturally reduce fat because of the design of their meals, or 2, they're going to pull back on fat because they're trying to lose body weight. So making sure you have a good omega-3 fatty acid in there can really help to offset that and any potential damaging effects to your brain or your cell membranes or anything, even your eyes. Like, I think everyone should have a good omega-3 fatty acid. D3 is essential for most people. Vitamin C, I think, is very important for boosting or supporting female hormones, but also scavenging free radicals, helping prevent oxidation in the body. So most people are going to need, but especially if you're doing 2 meals a day, because most people are reducing the amount they're eating, the amount of nutrition. Now, as I'm saying this, there's no reason why you couldn't get the same amount of nutrition in 2 meals. It's just wrapping your head around it, because you'll all agree with me that you could sit down for 1 meal. If your daily calories a day were 1,500, which is kind of the average for most people, you could sit down for 1 meal and just eat that 1,500 fast. Like, that's easy. That would be like a giant bag of chips and some chocolate. Like, you could do that really easy. But what I see is with my clients, and when people are really serious about their results, and this is kind of another step for them to push things, they're already somewhat good with controlling nutrition, but they miss these few steps, and we start to have holes in the nutrition, and the thyroid starts to suffer, and anxiety and irritability and all of that. So it's not like they're I suppose what I'm saying is a lot of these are my clients. They're already educated in nutrition, but there's holes. There's some tweaking that we need to do. So you could totally eat like your calorie allowance in one meal, but the people that I'm working with or seeing do 2 meals a day, they're already managing their calories in that aspect. So you can see there's considerations, but what I'm really trying to drive home here is that if you are doing 2 meals a day, you're probably going to be better to do breakfast and lunch. Like that, if you want fat loss, that's where we see the results. Finish eating earlier in the day, and that really helps with human growth hormone. It helps with healing the gut. It helps with optimizing sleep, cognitive recall. Like I could go on. You want to have 2 really nutritious meals. I was going to say if thyroid is concerned, but I think thyroid is concerned for everyone nowadays. You want to have Brazil nuts, your dark chocolate, berries, green vegetables, nutritious carbs like sweet potato, white potato, carrots, beets, great for detoxification. Make sure you're having sea salt regularly or electrolytes. Salt is not a concern for people who are eating clean and well. Salt is generally a concern for people who eat crap. Then collagen, 2 to 3 tablespoons of collagen. You may need to bring in a whey protein isolate or another protein option. I mean, I do like pumpkins. I've seen potato protein powders, but they're hard. I have seen them, but it's like few and far between. Hemp can be okay. I'm not a big fan of brown rice or pea proteins, so I would probably say collagen, whey protein isolate. Then next would be pumpkin or hemp. And then teas, supplements. Like make sure that you're giving your body the nutrition. You can do 2 meals a day, but it has to be well planned out. They have to be big, they have to be nutritious, and they have to be giving your body everything that it needs to function optimally. Like again, like what I said, here body, here's everything you need to function optimally. Please don't let my hair fall out or don't mess up my sleep. So that's kind of the basis of it, but I know it seems simple when I'm saying it, but I know people don't consider these things, especially as we're moving into a new year. Everyone's like, fat loss, fat loss, fat loss. Fat loss is great. There's nothing wrong with wanting to lose fat and feel and look your best. But in order for it to be sustainable and healthy and lifelong, you need to approach it in the correct way. So I hope you found that helpful. Let me know if you have any feedback or comments and questions. I'm always happy to answer. Bye bye.